We are visiting with Dr. Larry Simon today, and World Polio Day is coming up. I know you guys have been hearing about polio in the news a lot recently, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But first, Dr. Simon, tell us about yourself and why you came to speak with us today.
Lydia, thank you so much for having me on today. So my name is Dr. Larry Simon. I'm a native of Lafayette, Louisiana. I work for Blue Cross and Blue Shield, but my passion has been Rotary and trying to promote just serving our fellow humans and making the world a better place. One of Rotary's primary initiatives has been the eradication of polio from planet Earth. And as we Rotarians like to say, we are this close to doing it. And every year we celebrate this on October 24th with World Polio Day, and that's what brings me here to talk to you today.
Now, World Polio Day, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it. So, obviously, and we've been hearing about it in the news a lot lately, as I mentioned. So, how should we kind of be cautious now that we do have a case in the United States?
Well, the main thing is simply to make sure that your vaccinations are up to date. Polio was eradicated from the United States in 1979, and that's the wild type polio virus. But there are still cases of polio out there, and it's still endemic in Afghanistan and Pakistan. And so cases can still come from abroad and be spread through immunocompromised individuals or individuals who might have chosen not to get vaccinated. It's important to remember that there are still those of us in this country that are vulnerable to polio for any number of medical reasons. And if someone from abroad who wasn't able to get vaccinated comes into the U.S. with polio, it can create a problem and lead to some spread like we've seen recently.
And since we haven't seen polio in the U.S. for so many decades, some people may not be aware of what polio even is or the symptoms of polio. So how does polio work once a person is infected? What then happens?
Now, that's a great question. And you're right, polio was eradicated in the U.S. since 1979. But as recently as 1988, it was killing 350,000 children globally. In fact, there's one member of my Rotary Club who's a polio survivor. There are a couple of doctors that I know who are polio survivors, and my best friend's dad is a polio survivor. Polio can have any number of symptoms, but the main thing that you notice, and this is where it can vary, is it can cause a neurological paralysis, and it can be a permanent paralysis, okay? And it'll start in the feet, leading upwards and causing weakness, okay? Some cases are mild, and the person might only have a limp, or might even be asymptomatic. But the severe cases of polio can lead to devastating paralysis of the lower extremities, or God forbid, paralysis of the muscles that allow you to breathe. And then you can end up in what we call the iron lungs. And people who are old enough to remember the days before the polio vaccine will remember the giant wards. And if you Google polio and iron lung, you'll find pictures of iron lung wards with individuals living in these iron cages that sucked your chest open so that you could breathe with polio.
It's so important for all of us to be educated, especially right now. So how can we learn more about this virus?
That's a great question. The best place to go is endpolio.org. That's the website for Rotary International's polio eradication effort. It's endpolio.org. It's got a ton of information on there and education about the disease, education about the vaccine, and ways that you can help. And the ways that you can help are, first, support organizations like Rotary through donations, through awareness, through using the hashtag #EndPolio, through sharing announcements about World Polio Day on social media. And Rotary is partnering with the World Health Organization, the US CDC, and the Gates Foundation to raise money and to raise awareness, because we've had some real successes recently. A lot of things have gotten overshadowed, but very recently the entire continent of Africa was declared polio-free after Nigeria went 3 years without a case. And that leaves us only with Afghanistan and Pakistan as the countries that still have endemic polio. We also have some information about polio on my Rotary Club's website, Rotary Club of Lafayette North. And if you go to RotaryLafayetteNorth.com, you'll find information, as well as at our district website, Rotary District 6200.
Dr. Simon, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful day.
World Polio Day on October 4th. Again, visit End
24th.
Polio.
October
24th, excuse me. That's what I meant. That's what was in my head, but that's not what came out. October 24th, World Polio Day. Visit endpolio.org if you would like to learn more about the virus or if you want to see ways that you can help. endpolio.org.